is just not wanting to get kickstarted today. I do apologize for that. I think I'm going live, or at least I think I should be going live like way, way later than normal. Let's see if it's live yet or not. Dang, dude, they're still waiting. It's been like 2 minutes. That's waiting for that. So this is one of those days. Restream just didn't want to start. As we go ahead and look at the Cup Series, as we look at the Cup Series race today here at Texas, um, as stated in the previous live shows this week and in the how to use the NASCAR tools and stuff, we're slowly transitioning to having these shows behind the paywall. Obviously, through the month of May, or at least the first half of May, it'll be starting on YouTube and then transitioning to a unlisted link that you can only find in Discord at the moment. The website is nearly complete for the redesign, so I'm very happy about that. You can go ahead and join us and get access to not only my um, private streams and stuff, but also everything that we have here at TrueDFS on any of these um, packages, whether it's monthly or annually. Typically, I show the monthly, but if we're looking at if you're a high volume player, if you basically want 3 sites in one, and you're already paying for SaberSim Ultimate and you already have the contest, you might as well cancel through SaberSim and then get it through us, where you can have our stuff, SaberSim stuff, and then Pay Dirt analytics as well. Practically 3 sites in one on these packages. Now, one thing we will talk about and show is the Cup dashboard, at least a little bit here. Now, we've had out of pure luck and you know, I want to say proper planning, but with how much these guys are wrecking out and stuff, I don't even know if we can necessarily say that. But we've had a pretty successful weekend so far. I know Mike won the $4 contest yesterday. I've cashed and pretty much held some sort of optimal lineup throughout both races so far this weekend. And as stated in the paywall shows, I'm specifically going over kind of like my reasoning on projections. We're looking at lineups in terms of what SaberSim is offering, what my stuff is giving, what Cheetah's stuff is offering as well, and trying to understand where lineups are going for the field. If you want a more in-depth analysis and really picking my brain and stuff like that, that's more so what we do behind the paywall. But in terms of building for accurate Texas calamity, we, at least personally for me, I've gotten really, really lucky and I haven't been fucked over this weekend. I know that hasn't, or I know a lot of people have been completely screwed over. So at least, I can at least say that I have not been completely fucked this week. When we're looking at these races here, and yet again, when we're looking at next gen races at Texas, okay, now Texas has been volatile in the past. Now, yet again, we're primarily looking at all the next gen races at this point, but we have had cautions nearly, not even nearly in the teens, like deep in the teens, 16, 11, and 16 cautions. Green flag laps. For remember, the scheduled race distance is 267. Okay, in these races, we've had 243, 212, and 204. Okay, realistically, this race got pushed into green white checker territory since we had 16 yellows here. Okay, we look at the amount of cars left on the lead lap in these races: 25, 25, 31. Crash DNF 7, 10, 5. Mechanical DNFs only one from the 2024 race. Okay, so now, not yet again, not because it's happened this weekend, but just the nature of Texas and how difficult it is to pass here. I would lean very much towards focusing on guys that we have seen speed at the recent races versus where these guys have queued and where they have performed in qualifying and stuff. So when we're looking at Texas here and we're looking at where people have performed recently, yet again, just this year, we're looking at, I mean, this is, recent form going into Darlington of last year, just because I usually keep a running of like, what is this, 12 races or whatever. But we're really focusing on this stretch of races here. And you got to remember, it's been a while since we've been doing an actual racetrack, okay? Coming off of, the off weekend at um, Richmond, and then obviously going off of Talladega, Bristol. I mean, we got to go back to April, nearly a month ago, back to Darlington. Entering that race, now Blaney started ninth, but I was very, very heavy on Blaney for the most part this year. Outside of the performance at Las Vegas, and even still, he got involved in a wreck when he was able to drive through the field. Blaney has had the best car based on my stuff this year. Okay, we played him heavily at Homestead. We played him heavily at Darlington. Um, who has been the other driver who has, and Blaney in a sense of, I don't know if the field is going to catch up. Now, granted, he's starting 24th today, so it's probably different. But um, as stated in those previous races, this is probably a situation where we wanted to play more Blaney than the field. Byron starting second today. He's had the second best car throughout, pretty much this year. And really, I mean, moving into last year, my view is it's very much Byron having the best car, probably Larson as a second, and then Blaney as a third on the overall arching season at the moment, with probably Hamilton fourth. Okay. Now, with that said, potential of at least bare minimum at least 10 cautions here in this race. Now, granted, a lot of those have been single car spins or wrecks that take out one or two drivers and stuff like that. But the fact that everybody in the field has argued how difficult, or has mentioned how difficult it is to pass here, how frustrated nearly all these people are, and the fact that we then have a lot of people who, for the most part, shouldn't be up front. Okay. Now I haven't looked at chat yet, and yet again, we'll probably be live here for about 10 minutes or so before we transition into until we go to the paywall show and stuff like that. But I'm very much leaning towards not playing any Hocevar, and really not playing any Cindric at all. I think going back to the normal guys of Byron and Larson being your primary guys you expect to lead early. As stated, I really like Blaney. If we're just looking at this from 1.5 mile racetrack, like I think we can very easily eliminate Hocevar, Cindric, and McDowell. And we do, when we look at these practice laps and stuff, and I typically look at them on an overarching way, or at least like not necessarily focus on where they're at in averages, but in terms of just kind of where we're at in terms of other people and stuff. The thing that makes me kind of want to throw this away is I believe it was Logano or Byron or somebody, I don't remember, um, off of practice the other day, mentioned that there was cars faster than the people in front of them in practice, and they literally could not get around them. So obviously, if we go, a super long way, or we go green for a long time, excuse me, hold on. Obviously, if we go green a long time or something along those lines, we are able to, or at least like a long period. Like if you have like 50 laps, like chisel away somebody and get under them or slowly pass them. Obviously, the faster cars are going to go by. But if we're anticipating this race to run into some issues now, as I bring race and reference up, I gotta kind of kill time here as I bring up Texas here. So first and foremost, or second off, one thing that is kind of shocking on like a personal opinion note is the amount of people that are like burning sources in the NASCAR community. Um, like all over, like obviously you had Mike Joy, fucking getting tricked by the daily downforwards and stuff, mentioning fucking Ricardo racing at Mexico. But the fact that pretty much all of Twitter now is like based on a Reddit rumor, based on this guy on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, I don't know why people are burning sources like that at all. Like, that's how you quickly lose sources. I don't understand people like yapping and just leaking shit. Like, I don't understand from like teams' perspectives, from like crew members' perspective. It makes like no sense at all. Um, like I'm not on Reddit, spouting off things I'm hearing because I'm not burning sources over here and stuff. And even with that said, for whatever reason, as I've stated for years, this car wasn't ready. And two, we're not getting fucking turf anywhere. Okay, Charlotte has regretted adding turf to the track. That is they anticipated to save the money. It has increased maintenance across the board. I don't know why that is not known. It is ridiculous still seeing people argue that, well, we got to put in turf in Texas or whatever. So this is what I wanted to look at here specifically regarding the practice laps, and why I was kind of burning time there is if it's difficult to pass people, okay, and shown in practice that cars who were faster literally could not get around people who were slower than them. Okay, so that means Aero blocking is going to be huge, obviously. It's a one group racetrack, really difficult to pass here. Okay, so what does the long run speed really actually do? Okay, now, yet again, I'm reacting to this live here as we look back at these races, and I'm really specifically looking at stage three. From stage three, what are the runs that we're seeing in this stage? Because obviously, we have stage one, people are starting where they shouldn't, whatever, things going to work out if we have yellows, whatever. We in stage one, going to stage two, blah, blah, blah. The long run speed of cars are going to be mostly seen in stage three. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you can't gain positions or lose positions in the first half of the race, but for the most part, I don't anticipate a very, very long run to really shape things in. Like if we're looking at the grid, right? And we're looking at people, and again, this is just based on average speeds, but you look at, somebody like Cindric, right, who showed very good average speeds on like the, 10 to 15 to 15 to 20 laps and stuff like that. Okay, so Cindric is starting, third. Okay. I don't think he's going to have the ability to get the lead here. We look at other drivers who were fast on that, like, longer end of the run and stuff, and I just don't see a window where, like, that will actually come into play. I think we're gonna be dealing with a lot of, shorter runs, mainly dealing with, like, restarts and restart calamity and stuff like that. So looking back at 2024, um, longest run in the back of the field was 45-20. Obviously, we had a 50-lap green flag run to start the race. And yet again, going back, this race we had 16 yellows here, 11 and 23, and 16 and 22. So 23 will give us the best idea if we have a long run in stage three to see where practice will come in at. Um, but if you remember, or maybe you don't, I was at this race, and this is the race where Dirty Bubba Wallace just intent wrecked and took out Kyle Larson for no reason. Basically Dale Earnhardt. This guy. Okay, he didn't do that, but whatever. Into stage two, 38, 29, and then a lot of green, white checkers and nonsense here. Okay, so obviously another long run to kind of open the race, but not really a long run at the end of the race. Okay, we look at 2022, and we're just looking at the next gen cars at this point. Look at these races here. Where are they at into stage one, into stage two, stage three? Longest run is 24 laps, and so at least for me, looking at this Texas race, okay, now, as we've seen the past years, Texas for my stuff, where I have here, Texas has been pretty much unusable due to the amount of yellows, the amount of wrecks. Not really, we don't really have long enough runs or enough laps, enough green flag laps for me to confidently pull my data from. So I don't use Texas in the intermediate data points because it's been such a shit show. Okay. So if we're just based on what we've seen, okay, based on what we've seen so far at Texas, we can probably expect a lot of yellows. Now, yet again, that does not equal a lot of DNFs, okay? We're probably going to at least have, 27, 28 cars running at the end of this race, if not 30, okay? But what that does mean is we get a lot of restarts. We get a lot of potential lap leaders, okay? We continue to look through here, okay? Uh, as stated in the other races as well, or as I say this week with Truck and Xfinity, we have also seen a lot of volatility, not only on the chalk plays, but potential lap leaders and stuff like that. And so I think this is a very, very volatile type of race, and we haven't really even looked into anything, right? As we continue to go along, terms of the Dominator scoring and stuff like that, due to the fact that I'm not anticipating, and obviously we might have somebody run away. Those two individuals would probably be Byron or Larson to be the best candidates for that. But the fact that we're going to probably be having so many yellows and so many different strategies, I'm not really concerned about the lap leaders in this situation. I'm more so interested in the place differential in these races. And so obviously we can go through and kind of see where good cars, what does that mean? Drivers who have shown us skill, drivers who are typically running in the top half of these races by how I sort them. They are in good equipment and so on and so forth. And we can go ahead and look at how good cars in these races have been able to perform. And it's not very shocking to see that, hey, good cars, good teams, good drivers have been able to gain positions at these intermediate races. and that's just, obviously this is including, Kansas, Darlington, stuff like that. When we get a lot of yellows, that just benefits people starting in the back of the field if you're in a good car. Who is that? Who are people who would, you know, fill in that description? Okay. We can look at people like Ryan Preece. We can look at people like Ross Chastain. We can look at people like Brad Keselowski. Okay. Even though Chase Elliott has had a pretty slow time this year, qualified poorly, qualified, several tenths off of what his other teammates are doing, starting 29th, very much a top 15 car. I would expect to see a lot of these good drivers be able to pay off their price tags, and due to yellows, due to restarts, due to having a lot of time to get up there. And going back, if we look at these races here, we look at people at the end of or on the lead lap at the end of these races, 31, 25, 25. Unlike other intermediate tracks, I would anticipate a lot of people to be on the lead lap towards the end of this race. Okay, so what does that mean? That means anybody can take advantage of late race chaos, restarts, whatever the case may be. It doesn't pigeonhole you to being trapped lap down, or if you don't perform in stage one or at the start of the run or whatever, like your day's screwed. Okay, it's not, that's not the case. Lastly, looking at DK scoring ranges and stuff here. Now, yet again, what we're primarily focusing on, or what I try and focus on and tell people is where is the like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th DK score being at? Because obviously, if we're looking at the leader, obviously, main lap leader, whatever the case would be, obviously they're going to score well. But what are the ranges to be a top 10 scorer here? So 7th, you're at 49. You're at 4. Actually, even that's a little hard for me to see here. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, we're at 49. We're at 46 for 8. We're at 44 for 9, and then we are at an average of 43 for your 10th best scorer. So if we're looking at this grid here, and we're talking to ourselves of who can score, in that range, or who can realistically score 44 points or around that range, that's the people that we should be focusing on primarily in our lineups and stuff like that. I'm going to go and see what Chad is saying first, but then we will probably transition to the paywall and actually break down builds and stuff here. But an overarching opinion on mine is I'm not playing Cindric, I'm not playing Hocevar, I'm not playing McDowell, I'm not playing people who don't deserve to be up here. Now Gibbs has been performing better decently, but I think he's going to be very difficult to get to, and he's going to be a very difficult play, especially when you have Chastain, Keselowski, Preece, all these guys down here. I don't think Gibbs at $8,000 would be a candidate to really play today. And so for the most part, obviously Hamlin can always work, regardless of what. Let's say you're doing 20 lineups and stuff. By default, you probably want like 20% Hamlin, but really outside of, and I mean, let's look at Barry really fast too. Now, as I stated, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get Barry wrong a lot this year, because obviously he performed well at Vegas. You don't win a race if you aren't in position to take advantage of that. Performed decently at the short tracks this year, but I just can't project him to be like any better than like 9th in this race here. So I think the only playable guys in the top 10 are Hamlin, Larson, and Byron. Now, Bubba has led laps here, but Bubba has not shown me the speed to get there realistically this year. I mean, and then we're also looking at his lap times and stuff. I just don't think Bubba Wallace is in play today. So like, I think this is a very much, as we've already seen this week, and not because that has happened, but due to the trends that this individual cup race has seen, I think we want to focus on guys in the back of the field very quickly. We're looking at where these guys are at, or where people are finishing in the top 10. You're seeing a lot of people come from the back of the field in these races here. That's just that's how I'm looking at it. Let me go ahead and see what you guys are saying here in chat, and we can possibly go and goof around behind the paywall and stuff. Good morning. I'm playing a lot of Hocevar. Wish me luck. Text favorite aggressive drivers like Hocevar. Okay. Yes. So Chris, if you just paid that, you will if you go to the account page here, I'm not gonna click this because 'cause it'll show or I mean, everybody knows my email anyway, but if you click the account page on here, it'll give you step-by-step instructions to make it to the Discord and stuff like that. And if you want more than just the NASCAR stuff and obviously, like, I think the real benefits of what we offer here is actually much more than the NASCAR package. Like, the reason this is priced so high is to encourage you to actually, like, just get any of the SaberSim, um, add-ons as well. I think that's a much better, way to go about it if you are going to, get stuff through us. Um, let's see, and then Philly, you're locking in Blay I'm gonna keep playing Blaney very heavily this year. His ownership has not been in my opinion, probably where they should be or where he should be at. Obviously, he blows the motor at Homestead when I'm practically locking him in. He gets wrecked at Vegas when he's driving through the field. Actually, this was last year's race. This is the Vegas race this year. Um, like I think Blaney's a phenomenal play, even if he started like seventh or something. The fact that we get him at 24th in a race where I already like guys in the back of the field, I like Blaney a lot today. Um, But that's mainly gonna be it if you want, as I said, not only the paywall, but if you want sheets projections, my projections, and stuff like that for NASCAR or any of the sports that we offer, because we don't just offer that, we have multiple avenues for projection sources across the board for NHL, NBA. I know NBA and NHL are coming to the end because they got their playoffs and stuff, but if you're playing, obviously baseball throughout the year and or when football arrives here, having both SaberSim, our stuff, and Pater analytics for the NFL season, that's really, really huge. Um, yeah, I do believe that's it. I'll see you guys in that show that I will be linking in Discord. I'll talk to you guys later. See you guys. Bye bye.